Welcome, my name is Lieksa Kukkonen and this is Practitioner's Viewpoint. In this series of podcasts, I will be interviewing practitioners from different fields on how they see sedentary behavior and promotion of physical activity. Today, I have the honor to introduce my guest, Petter Kukkonen. Petter is a professional Nordic combined coach and he coaches Team Finland for the upcoming Winter Olympics in Beijing. He is helping athletes to grow and reach their full potential. He's also written a novel about ancient Olympics. This is the second part of our episode with Petter Kukkonen, and in the second part, we're going to discuss the activity measurement that he has done with the Fibion's device. So, welcome back, Petter.
Thank you.
So, my question now, as we ended up our first part of the recording, you said that you did the activity measurement with Fibion to know whether your life is as active as you might maybe think it is. And my first question to you is that were there any surprises when you went through your results with Fibion? Just for the listeners, a little background information that Petter was at the training camp and it was a 2-week camp. The first week, there was a lot of ski jumping coaching, which is rather passive, at least at the first glance. And the second week was high altitude cross country training camp in Ramsau, Austria, which has a lot of cross country training in the camp. So, as you went through the results with Fibion, were there any surprises?
Not actually big ones. I expected my lifestyle is pretty active, or not like any super active, but like let's say active enough. And I think that was something that we found in the results too. But what was like bit or what I was not expecting was the first week. It was like you said, it was more like jumping. That was actually more or less the same in activity-wise than second week, which I expected to be more active because we were doing much more cross-country skiing and also trainings in high altitude in 2,700 meters, which is really exhausting. But yeah, that was maybe the biggest thing. But otherwise, maybe I was a bit afraid that I will get worse results. But then luckily it was more or less okay. Not to be like really athlete, but just to manage the normal life.
Yes, so I can maybe go through your results with Fibion a little bit more precisely for the listeners. So, as many of us quite often believe, then we think sometimes, or quite often, we think that exercise is the only thing that's counting for activity. And as we saw from your results, you had during both the weeks you had around 7 hours of sitting time, and then you had, if I remember correctly, 4 or 5 hours of standing, and then there were some vigorous exercise. And the health points or the balance between passive time and active time was the same basically during both of these weeks, even though you felt that the ski jumping part of your training camp is much more passive than the high altitude camp, but they're just really different. But the health outcomes seem to be quite alike. So this is quite often very surprising to people. You know, we don't want to think that the light walking that we do, maybe to the shop or to the working place, we don't consider this as important for our health, but in reality, it is very important. And I guess in your work, you have a lot of like, you know, being on your foot, kind of walking, going up and down the stairs. I would believe there's not so many times when you are sitting like hours, even though you are traveling a lot. Maybe this is the most passive part of your work.
Yeah, that's true. And I'm also, or I believe that my personality is active. I want to do things rather than like staying still. Even
Mm.
though like many things that I'm writing or reading, that they're not kind of really active ones, but still at least it's active ways of working for my brain. But still, yeah, my background is to be like really active guy in also in sport field. And I was a little kid, so I think that something is still left.
Yeah, so the society has not ruined you.
Mm.
So, do you use any technology or measuring technology with your athletes in your team?
Yes, there are nowadays lots of different kind of tools and technologies to use, and we have picked up few of them. Like one is for night recovery, and then we do like certain patterns in different let's say like field testing, how we test our explosiveness and endurance, and then like some kind of like during cross country training we measure the lactate level and that kind of thing. So like not too many, but the ones we have picked up those which give us the best and kind of like a very very simple way to measure athletes and to support our own feeling or athletes' own feeling how they feel their body in the state of recovery.
Mm.
And with these measures, we kind of like combine the total picture if we are going to right direction or not. But yes, there are some of the tools that we are using.
So, in this podcast, we often talk about the promotion of physical activity, and how to get people to spend a more active lifestyle. Do you ever have a problem in your team that you have to motivate somebody to be more active, or is it the opposite?
The normal picture is that it's opposite way. At least in our team, the guys are really active and they want to succeed even be too much. Like some of them. So it's really much talking about, or not really much, but every now and then we need to go back to the basics that you guys really need to rest and recover. But there were times when I had athletes, kind of like passive guys. Still, they were training, but not in the way that these guys. And it's some of like many things. But for those guys, yeah. But it's kind of like way they thought that they are training as pro athletes, but they were not. And then it's not just like saying, "Hey, you should train more," but really go deep in the basics of training and show. We need to show them with different kind of tools or programs or training diaries or tests that this is not enough and you really need uh, like more training or more quality in your training and to compare training programs of the best athletes from other nations. And it's not just as simple than just saying that, okay, guys, let's move more or let's train more, but there has to be the reasons.
Mm, mm. So, so as a professional coach, how do you see the problem of inactivity in most Western societies now? Um, how would you tackle the problem or solve the problem if you could?
Yeah, that's a huge question, and I think it's very clear according to like many studies that the lifestyle that we have is very passive, and what is like even more dramatic is how are like how the kids how less they're moving, how inactive they are, and I believe that there's also connection. So somehow our thinking and like maybe like I mean like really small kids like relationship between how we move, how active we are. I believe there's connection to our how we develop our speech and thinking.
Mm,
And I believe that there's like connection that these moves are connected with our brain, and it's not just like working that we think to move, but we also move to think. And that's like one part, not even that big part of this cake, but also this inactivity leads to many illnesses which are proved. And yeah, how to change it? that was your question, and that's like I think we need strong leaders in politics, because the facts are very clear and they are there. Just like nobody can close eyes of of those studies have been made. So we will need decisions how to educate people, how to move their habits and way of life, starting from the little kids, how the kindergartens work, how the schools work together with sport clubs, local sport clubs, and cities to create kind of like different methods or different ways of activate kids in funny way that they are enjoying it, and it's not kind of like training or anything, but it's like fun to be with the friends, to be involved in different kind of activities, which can be something to do with sports or also.
So there is sometimes there's this opposition of public health or like sports or exercise for public purpose, and then there's this top sports, and at least here in Finland it's quite often confronted. So what do you think is the role of top sports in the how do you, what is the role of top sports in influencing, for example, children to be more active?
Athletes, they have always been role models for not just kids, but also for the whole society. It's like huge impact how they are acting or behaving, or what kind of message they're bringing to society through the media. And nowadays the change has been also dramatic, that also top athletes, they're coming closer to your home and your spectators. They are very openly speaking about their challenges, let's say like mental problems, or if there are like some kind of sexual harassment things in their childhood, or eating problems, or just like how they train, what they do in their normal life. And so I think that they're like role models to show the direction. And they can also talk about these kind of things concerning the activity. I just haven't seen that much yet, but I think it's also coming.
Yes, I also think that athletes could take even a more active role in talking about the benefits of physical activity or sports. And we often talk about the benefits only as of having better health, but it's also mental health and social relations and self-esteem. There's so many things that taking part of a sports club actions can actually, it has a really positive effect on so many different parts of your life. So I hope that athletes will become um, even more as an active part of this promotion.
Yes.
So when we go back to your Fibion measurement, so to whom would you suggest this measurement? Who do you think would benefit of it?
Yeah, I would say it suits for everybody. Like it's very easy. Yeah, like easy to make, and it doesn't like it has no influence to your normal day life, and it gives you very interesting information. Like we were talking like before, that we may have some like wrong assumptions of our life when it comes to our eating, or our training, or activity, or inactivity, or sleeping, or recovery, or whatever. And nowadays we have tools and technology for all of that. So it gives you like very important information, and then you can, together with professionals, you can picture better your life, and to find the ways to have like better lifestyle and more healthy life. That's something I think we all people that we deep inside that we want to have good life, healthy life. We want to live like long life and have these healthy years, as many as possible. Yeah, and it gives you like accurate information really to know what's happening in your body, and I think that's why it fits for like all of us. Also in the like little kids, it would be really interesting to see how much they're really taking steps or what's their activity level in different kind of kids and youngsters, women, men, elders. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I
Yeah,
think it's good for everybody.
yeah, I personally think that for different groups, the device is really great because it doesn't need any logging into anywhere. So it's so easy that you can use it for children or, for example, for elderly people also. So this is definitely one of the benefits of the
Mm,
measurement.
yeah.
So we talked about in the first part that your next big project is going to be the Olympic Games in Beijing. But is there any other uh, projects, interesting projects coming up in your life that you'd want to tell about to our listeners?
Yeah, the Beijing project, it's been on for 4 years now, and it's very close. So that's definitely the biggest one, and my main goal. Yeah, like you also mentioned in the beginning, I'm an author and been writing books, and like one or a sequel is coming for my first book, and that's like, but that project starts hopefully in the next spring. The book is basically ready, but to like finalize it for publishing, that's the next big step. I think that's maybe the biggest thing. Otherwise, I've been doing now this coaching job for in Finland, only in Finland, 10 years in a row in same position, and before that for 5 years in Estonia. So I'm really like lots of thoughts about the future, what to do, maybe continuing coaching in different role or like changing totally jacket for an area. But I really can't tell if there are any bigger things or what are the biggest things. For sure, I want to do something and to find something creative job that I can put all my energy. I don't want like anything like kind of like there's nothing wrong with the normal job from 8 to 4, but I'm not just that kind of guy, or maybe I've been too many years outside of so-called normal life. So I rather try to look for some how do you call it, like inexceptional work
Okay.
what needs to do.
So if somebody wants to follow you somewhere on social media, then where can you be found?
I'm mostly in Twitter. You can find me after my name, and basically that's the only social media that I'm updating regularly. Mostly what comes to my team, not that much about my personal stuff. I'm also in Facebook, but I'm not like just like following every now and then.
Okay. Um, so, Petter, I'd really like to thank you for this chat. Luckily, we didn't get to an argument too. Uh, so I wish you luck for the Olympics, and I also want to thank all our listeners for being with us today. So, bye bye, Petter, and bye bye to everybody else.
Thank you.